Hello, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be swatching all of my bronzers, and then if there's any that I'm not crazy about, I'm going to put them in. I have a bag that I have like 8 or 9 eyeshadow palettes, and I went through one more time after I did the video where I theoretically decluttered a palette from each brand, and then that prompted me to like actually get rid of a couple because there was a few that I was like, I don't use this anymore. So anyway, bronzer used to be my smallest category. It's not. I have a lot in here. So I want to make sure that I love everything that is in this drawer. If I do, great. I'll keep it all. If there's anything in here that's old or looks weird or I don't like it, we'll get rid of it. So if that sounds interesting, stick around. If you are new, welcome. Take a moment. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and let's jump into the video. I have you tilted down a little bit. I have the bucket, drawer, bin, whatever you want to call it. Technically it's a drawer in my lap, so I'll pull them out and put them back down. I can actually move you down a little bit more and scoot back so you can kind of see what I'm doing. So I'm going to pull everything out and we will swatch it all. I have a couple of makeup wipes here and a towel, so we're good to go. The first is my favorite cream contour, and I actually hunted down because that's about all I have left. This is the Benefit Hoola Quickie Contour Stick. It leans a little bit warmer, but it blends out really nicely. I can put it over powder and I don't struggle with it. I did hunt down a second one on Poshmark, so I do have another one of these because they do not make this anymore. I think Benefit kind of was a little late on the trend with that. I really am hoping they bring that back because I think people would buy this now because cream bronzer and contour is really popular. I have a mini in the Hoola from Benefit. I have 2 full-size ones, but they're in face palettes, so I forget to use them. I got this in a little holiday set that came with another one of these and a cream highlighter from them. So I like that I have a single because I actually use this more now because I forget about my face palettes. Another one that I bought for the bronzer, this is from Natasha Denona. This is a little mini Bronze and Glow. I can use the highlight in here too, but bronzer is the first step that I do. I bought this as something to use instead of this. I've had this Too Faced Chocolate Soleil, and again, I can use the highlighter in here, and this came out of a holiday set, so it's never prompted me to buy. They all look the same. An individual one, because this one still works. That being out of a holiday set is limited edition, and that individual product doesn't exist. So I picked up this when I had a gift card from Sephora over Christmas as a kind of substitute for that, but they both work. This is Lower East Side in the shade Skyscraper. It's a cream bronzer, and I actually really like this. I've been using this quite a bit. This came in a BoxyCharm, so I'm not familiar with this brand. It's a little bit stiffer of a formula. Like, it's not overly creamy, but it's something that I can get in there with a brush pretty easy and blend it out. And it looks really nice with a brush. And then we have my cream contour. This is a true contour. This is in the shade 01 Amber because this is very cool tone. This is one where the surface got a little mucked up because I've had that for I think 2 years now, but it still works. I went in and cleaned it up, got some of the film off that was on top. I feel like I need to go in with this one and kind of clean this up a little bit. And it's just, like I said, it's just from the brush going in. It feels fine. Like I said, it's definitely a little bit stiffer. There's more of it right there, but it looks really pretty and it blends out really nicely. I haven't any issues as far as lifting foundation or anything with that. And then we have the Rimmel bronzer. I'm not going to swatch all the powders. I'll swatch the creams. We'll be here for a million years. I have this Too Faced Unicorn one. Again, this is limited edition, but it looks really pretty. I like to go in with a matte powder as like a contour, and then I blend it out with a shimmer. That's a pro tip that I picked up taking makeup classes a long time ago. That's the way I prefer it. So you're going to see a lot of both for that reason. One of my favorite bronzers, I'll swatch this one, is this Becca. It's a little deep for me, but I don't mind a heavy bronzer. I like to pretend that I still have a tan, even though I don't. Let's take off some of this so we can keep going. Some affordable ones, I have this Makeup Revolution one. It's a baked bronzer in Take Vacation that looks almost identical to the Milani in Dolce. Just for some affordable glowy options. I have the Too Faced Chocolate Gold. This is another one that doesn't exist anymore. This is from Too Faced. This is the Pineapple Sun. I can use this highlighter if I go in with light hand, but I really like this because it's glowy, but it's not shimmery like some of my other ones. It just looks really pretty and kind of blurs out the skin. So that's why I've kept it. It still works. I'm not one of those that will get rid of stuff just because it's limited edition, because I know I'm not the only one that still has that stuff. And if it's good and I like it and it still works, there's no reason just to get rid of it. Another Too Faced one, and this one is really light. Like, this is a good matte bronzer, but if you're much deeper than me, this is not going to work for you. This is one of the lightest bronzers I have in my collection. It's in Hot Cocoa, and it does smell like chocolate, but I don't know who they were making this for, because me and lighter can use it. Anyone else? Absolutely not. It will not show up. This is a new one. I got this from the Dollar Tree. It's supposed to look like a donut. It's supposed to smell like a cupcake. It is scented, but to me it kind of smells a little more coconutty. But it looks very similar to this one. It's a satin bronzer. I wouldn't say it's shimmery, but it's not as glowy as it says satin, but it shows up a little bit more than this one. So if you're at the Dollar Tree and you see this guy and you're kind of my shade, you could get away with it if you're a little bit lighter. It does work. I do have this one from Item Beauty, and this is in Cheek Money. This is very pigmented. I have to be careful with the deep side. I can use this as a contour, but I have to go in with such a light hand with this. There it goes. I was gonna say, when you pick that up with a brush, it can get real intense real quick, but and it's a very soft formula. Like, you can see I didn't rub my finger in that hard and how much product I picked up. So you do have to be careful with this. I don't know. Item Beauty has discontinued some of their products. I hope they aren't going out of business, because they make my favorite concealer formula. I've heard their like cream blush was really good, and that's not on their website anymore. So hopefully they're not going away. Another good matte option is the LYS. I have the shade Harmony. It says it's medium, but I like a little bit more of an intense bronzer. I don't want something super light. I have one from Iconic London in medium bronze, and this looks like the Too Faced Chocolate Soleil. So if you like that one and you don't want to buy Too Faced, this and the LYS all mimic the Too Faced original Chocolate Soleil to me. Same thing with this Profusion Little Duo. This came in an advent calendar, but I do know they sell like these face palette thingies. I don't know if they sell these duos per se, but I do know they sell like face palettes. I do like this. I don't think it has the shade. It just says Bronzer Duo. It's pretty light. If you're much deeper than me, this wouldn't work. Okay, I don't know where we left off. I think we were talking about Profusion. My mom came by. I thought it was my husband at first because I could hear somebody like walking. It was my mom. So she hung out for a little bit. We're back. No time passed for you, but the Profusion, they do sell face palettes. I just don't know if they have this exact duo. Again, this came in an advent calendar, but it's a nice, like, smooth, not patchy powder. I just don't know what their shade range is on their powder bronzers. I have this e.l.f. Duo in Bronzed Peach. This is supposed to be a dupe for the NARS Orgasm and the Laguna bronzer. I have the NARS Orgasm. This is a more pigmented version, and this is a little more peach. To me, the Orgasm blush is a little more pink, but these are both shimmery and pretty. I've never used the Laguna bronzer, I don't think, as far as my memory serves, but I do like this. It's a glowy. Again, it's not shimmery. It's very reminiscent of the Too Faced one, similar kind of a glow. Very, very pretty. I do bronzer first, so again, the Duo is in this drawer for that reason. My mom was here for a little bit, so hopefully I can get some use out of the wipes. They're starting to dry up. Okay, we have a LA Colors one. I featured this in my Dollar Tree haul, and it's also the bronzer that is on my face that I used in the affordable makeup video. Very, very pretty. This is a shimmery bronzer, but it's not overly glittery. And they did have a couple of different shades. They did have some deeper ones. I was thankful to find this one because the other ones looked a little bit too dark, whilst I do like a glowy bronzer. Let's do the face palettes and then we'll do the creams. I have the BH Belgian Waffle. I love this because these are like satiny bronzers, and then I can go in with this maple shade to give me a little more glow. Very, very pretty. And then these highlighter shades are awesome. And then you do have this buttermilk shade, which for me, I can use as a finishing powder on my skin tone. Deeper skin tones, you could use that as a highlighter too. I have this Complex Culture, which this is Ipsy's brand or BoxyCharm's brand. I don't know. They're owned by the same company. These are both really pretty. You've got a little bit deeper, a little bit softer. I use them together, and then the highlights are very blindy, very reminiscent of this, but really, really nice formula. The Too Faced Cocoa Contour, I still really like this. I don't do anything with this orange shade, but I can use everything else in here. Still smells like chocolate. I think that's the other reason I never purchased a newer version of the Chocolate Soleil, like to replace this, because I do have the chocolate powders in that. I have the Tarte Princess, Park Avenue Princess face palette, which I think they discontinued this. This is amazing because I love that you've got a matte shade, couple of matte shades in Princess Cut and Angel. I use both of those. You've got Carrot, and then sometimes I use a little bit of Crown because those are glowy, and then you've got a banana powder in Enhance, and then Halo, a little more like of a skin tone powder. I can pretty much use this whole palette, so I like it. I wish they would bring it back. The formula on that is amazing. Oh, we got some more creams down here too that we're hiding. We'll put those towards the front. I still have a Shade and Light palette from KBD. I don't think this exists anymore. Again, I can use this whole thing. I usually will bring in a shimmer or use either the Tarte or like the Belgian Waffle, because these are all matte. The only shade again in here is this slightly orangey one. The rest of this, I can use the whole palette. And then we have a cream palette from Zoeva. I've never actually used this. I have swatched it. Let me touch it. This is a little bit stiffer. I would say similar formula to this, but it should work fine with a brush. Like, it feels fine. I need to put that on the top so that I can try and use that. So I'm not going to put that on the very bottom because it will continue to not be used down there. And then I have a couple of colors from Makeup Sense. This is the Senogens, the Lip Sense beauty brand. I have light and medium. Both of these shades work for me. Their formula is waterproof, so once it does set down, it's waterproof. The LA Girl one I used in my affordable makeup video. I do have this one from Hard Candy. I'm going to swatch this one because I have not swatched this yet. This was in my drugstore Walmart haul. Emily Noel used a couple of these. This wasn't the shade that I picked. I think I picked the chocolate chip shade. They didn't have that. They ended up giving me, what is this? Honey Glaze. That's a little warmer than I would have picked for myself, but I think that'll work because that looks very similar to the tone of this one. And I do like it on my skin tone. And then this was a little bit warmer too than I had thought. I think I had this in fawn at one point and I didn't think I needed both. This is in the shade Toffee. I'm pretty sure I owned fawn at one point and I decluttered it just because I had never used it. I have this one from Mitchell and Tickled Taupe. It's a little bit more cool toned, but I like that this is kind of a moussey formula. This is really easy to blend out. I have the contour wand from Flower Beauty and Low Light. I don't know if this comes in other shades. I have, oh, the light. I like this formula. This is a little more cool toned, so I like that for like a true contour. The formula is really nice. This just sets down really fast, so you're going to want to blend that out like in sections. Don't dab it over your whole face. One that I like for a contour, this is a true like cool tone. This is in the shade Mink. This is the ABH Stick Foundation. So again, this is going to give you some coverage just like a concealer would. But this is a true like contour shade. I have, this is a blush, I think technically, but this is in the shade Bronze. This is again from Lip Sense. It's again going to dry down and be waterproof. This is their new packaging. They had some that came in little like squeezy tubes, but this is a really nice, again, cream bronzer. And the nice thing with Lip Sense, I am a distributor. I can leave my link down below if you're interested in anything. It sets down and it's waterproof. So I use that stuff when I do makeup on other people if they need it to be waterproof, and then layer powder on top of it. That's the only reason I got, and I became a distributor just so I could get a discount for myself. But that's the nice thing with their stuff, is that it is technically supposed to be waterproof. I have this little duo from Kaleidos where you've got the contour, the bronzer, and the setting powder. They have redone these and they come in different packaging. I still have this one, so I never bought the new one, but their new ones come in kind of a lacy, they're shaped like this. And then we have the Makeup Revolution. This is the Sculpt and Highlight Duo. This is supposed to be a dupe for like the Charlotte Tilbury one. And then Essence makes a duo that's very reminiscent of this, but this is a good contour and highlight palette. I don't know. Desert Sky is the shade. I don't know if these come in other shades. And then I have one last thing. This is from Morphe. This is a contour stick. I wouldn't even say this was a contour. This is a cream bronzer stick because that's a little bit warm. Effect 11. It's a nice formula, and again, it looks almost identical to the shade from Lower East Side that I really like. I've been really surprised, I can't get it open, with this cream bronzer. This is probably going to be the only product that I'm on the fence about just because I have this. I might keep this one too, just because this is accessible and it's technically a drugstore, because you can still get Morphe at Ulta. So that's the only reason I've held on to it, is because I don't have a ton of drugstore options. But let's close this out and I'll give you my final thoughts on it. This is what the drawer looks like now. I rearranged it a little bit, so all of my creams are under some of this stuff. Okay, the only thing I'm on the fence on is that Morphe stick, but it is a similar color to that one in the pot. The only thing is that Lower East Side, I got it in a BoxyCharm, so I don't know much about that brand. So I'm kind of inclined to keep the Morphe stick, just because if I use it on camera, that's a more accessible option. Not that anybody wants to be purchasing Morphe, but I'll have to look in to see where in that Lower East Side is carried, because I do like the formula. It's a little stiff in the pan, but it applies really nice with a brush, and it's a really nice warm shade without being too orange, if that makes sense. Because with my skin tone, anything too red based looks like I'm sunburned, and that's not a good look. The opposite of bronzed. So I used to have a Too Faced palette that had a pretty warm bronzers in it, and every time I wore them, my husband told me I looked like I was sunburned. So I ended up decluttering the All Natural face palette, even though I loved it, thought it was beautiful. Couldn't wear the bronzers, could only use like one of the highlighters and the 2 blush shades, so I wasn't utilizing enough of that palette. I ended up decluttering it to a better home. I can use everything in my drawer and I like everything in there. There isn't anything that I dislike. And I found the easiest thing for me to do with these is to take everything out. I did that with my blushes off camera and physically hold everything because it can be hard for me to let things go. So I found taking everything out, looking at it, swatching it whilst I didn't declutter anything, that is the easiest thing for me to do to determine if I like it. Do I want to keep it? Am I going to use it? Do I want to use it? I don't know if I'm going to use it, but the potential is there, and I at least like everything that I have because I don't like to keep things for the sake of just hoarding them and keeping them. I want to potentially want to use it, even if I don't. I want to use it, if that makes sense. So yeah, thank you for hanging out with me while I went through my bronzers. Hopefully that wasn't too boring. Make sure you're subscribed if you're not already, and hopefully I will see you in another video very, very soon. Bye, everybody.